It's cloudy and overcast, but we have just found a leopard, so I think we will have a blast. And this is Safari Live. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome down on Juma, down in South Africa. And what a great start to the show. We have just found what looks like a young male leopard lying down very close to a waterhole. It is very overcast and chilly this afternoon, and I think that's possibly why he's just lying down out in the open. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is VM, of course, the wildebeest himself, and we have Megan and Ashley in final control. The Mara team will be joining us, Brent, Jamie and Tayla, a little bit later, but for now, what a great start. We've got a young male leopard that we've just found, and by pure coincidence, VM spotted him, and that's really a wonderful surprise. Now, don't forget, we are live on Safari, so send us your questions and your comments, and you can do that via Twitter. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do it, and we love hearing from all our viewers. And this is a real treat to find a leopard out in the open first thing for our safari this afternoon. Isn't he beautiful? Now, something's caught his attention. I wonder if it isn't perhaps just some water birds walking around. I'm having a look. I don't see any sign of animals walking around here just yet. But he will be aware and alert of what is around the waterhole. He's put his head back down. You see he's curled up. But as I said, it is very cool. It's about 70 degrees or 71 degrees Fahrenheit, around 21 degrees Celsius. So fairly cool. There's a chill in the air and this overcast weather that we're having. It's lovely though. It's very nice. Makes for a change for this time of year. It can get very, very hot normally. That leopard not fazed by us at all. Now this looks like it might be Hosana, a young male leopard that we are seeing fairly often at the moment. He's been hanging around, wandering around, trying to just explore this area a little bit. He is still too young to be setting up territory for himself. He's just over a year and a half old, but still, as I said, far too young to really setting up a territory for himself. So not just yet. So he's just going to explore, and as we've seen, he's been meeting up and interacting with a number of other leopards, especially females. Now this young male has been clever. Isn't the last I'm trying to think now, the last week or so, we've seen him 2 or 3 occasions not stealing, but going and joining another leopard and pushing, especially the females, pushing them off their kills that they have made so that he can feed on it. So that is quite interesting behavior, but very clever behavior. So he is opportunistic, and male leopards do that from time to time, where they will go and steal kills from females. It's a bit easier than hunting from themselves. Now I'm going to sit here with this male leopard for a while and see what he gets up to. I don't think he's going to move, but as I said, Tayla, Brent and Jamie are in the Mara. Tayla would like to show you a beautiful vista at the moment.
It's going to be for us in terms of getting wet. I think that's going to be a certainty today, but that's okay. We've had one storm come over already, and the second one is coming in quite strong, but we love the rain, and well, all the dams and rivers and things like that could do some topping up. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we're going to try and stay as dry as we can. Luckily, we've got these brand spanking new covers to keep us, well, on the dry side, but it's beautiful. Now, I'm trying to think, we didn't actually have that much rain. It wasn't a torrential downpour like yesterday, but we definitely had enough to, of course, just refill all the wetland areas, and I wish that we could go there. I mean, that would be ideal for birding, or well, just interesting listening to the frogs. We didn't get to do much frogging yesterday. Maybe we can make up for it today, and it would be really nice, wouldn't it? But we can't, because the roads are exceptionally wet. But so what we're going to do is we're going to drive on the main roads and see how it goes, and we'll test some of the better roads, and if they're good enough, then we can take them. But we won't be going down this one down here that I drove the other day. Actually, look at that. You can look how full. I just spotted how full this little river is now. It's actually the fullest I've ever seen. I'm quite excited to get down to the bridge. We saw the bridge was raging yesterday, so it'd be nice to see what it looks like today. And we can compare and see how high the water has risen, but it is going down. That's the perfect spot for tubing. That would be a great thing. Obviously, we're not going to go and do that here, though. It'd be a little bit dangerous, but that could be loads and loads and loads of fun. There's the adventure coming out in me. How do you think about... don't you think... And I think she is the adventurous kind. She loves going on safaris, and I think she would enjoy going tubing. Wouldn't you? Yes, as long as there's no crocodiles and hippos, those, well, probably we'll bump into a couple, but I'm sure you'll be okay. Right, let's get on the move. Now, this is the hard part. I love these covers, but I can't see where I'm going. I don't know if there's a rock in front of me. I'm going to try and the brakes also don't work so well today, but we'll make do. Anybody in final control? Anybody there still? I don't know if I'm live. I don't think I'm live. I've been presenting. I don't know. Oh. Sorry, that was a bit strange. I thought we'd lost comms because the comms were a bit dicey when we were coming down here anyway, but I couldn't resist but have a look at the view. So, Sebastian and I are going to laugh at us, but what we're going to do, we're going to head towards Olololo Gate and drive down that road, see what it's like, and then we're going to come back this way and then decide whether we're going to take the river road or the other road. But I haven't decided yet. Also, we're going to try and avoid the rain. We'll play that game. I think.
It seems like we've just lost Tayla. She's probably got some technical issues at the moment, but not to worry. I've just repositioned, got a little bit closer to this male leopard. We've got a wonderful view of him. I'm just enjoying lying out at the dam. And as I said, they are opportunistic, and surprisingly, even though he's out in the open, he's very well camouflaged. I mean, if we look back a little bit, if we zoom out there, VM, thanks very much. Just look how well camouflaged he is. The light is quite low at the moment because of the cloudy conditions that we have, and he blends in perfectly to that bank, that dam wall that's on the side of the dam over there. So if anything comes down to drink, he may try and seize the opportunity and catch something, but it all depends. He is a bit exposed, so it would be difficult to stalk anything. But he may be able to use some of the vegetation around if any animal is approaching through the thickets behind him. But for the moment, he just looks like he's resting very comfortably over there. Riti, you asked at what age do leopards wander off alone? Well, Riti, on average, young leopards will become independent at about 1.5 years. That's the average age given. However, it can happen that they move off a little bit younger than that. Now, in this young male's case, what happened, some of you may know this, but his mother was a very dominant female in this area. Her territory was most of Juma. She died earlier this year, and him and his sister became independent a lot earlier. So at about 1 year old, I think they were just over 1 year. Now that is quite early for a young leopard to become independent, but they survived. And they're doing very well. Now, some of you have asked what has happened to his sister, the young female leopard, Shongile. Now, I don't know. We haven't seen her for quite some time. I'm sure she is still around. Maybe because there's a lot of other leopard activity, female leopard activity in this area. Remember, we are seeing another female leopard known as Tandi and another female Shadow. They have been moving around here a lot. So that would put pressure on that young female leopard, and she would most likely move into a different territory where there aren't as many female leopards around. So I think that's possibly why we haven't seen her. Even though she's a young leopard, those females would possibly still take her as a potential threat and just push her out of their territories. So the male, he is a bit luckier. He doesn't have to worry about the females. As you've seen and I mentioned earlier, he's been chasing them off kills, trying to capitalize on their kills that they've made. The dominant male leopards in the area, and probably the most important one, is a big male leopard known as Tingana. And he's tolerating this young male at the moment because he is still young. So he's not challenging him for territory. So he's no threat just yet. But if he gets a bit older, I'm assuming that that male leopard would potentially then push him off and push him out of this territory. And Debbie, you were wondering when this young male leopard will start marking territory. Now, Debbie, again, an average age, maybe 4 years old, between 4 and 5, they generally start setting up territories for themselves. It could be slightly earlier, depending if there's no dominant male leopards around, if he can find a territory before that. But I suppose generally an average age would be around 4 years old, between 4 and 5 years old, from what I've seen in the past from young male leopards. And that's generally when they are big enough to also challenge other male leopards for territory. Now, Rasta, generally speaking, leopards can be territorial towards their own offspring or family members. And the reason for that is purely competition. Leopards are generally solitary animals. We know this, we've seen this many times again. Even though, excuse me a second, sorry. A firm, make your way straight in. He's lying just on the dam wall, close to the water in the center of the dam wall. So as I was saying, because they are solitary animals, they will have competition between each other and chase other leopards out, even if they are related. Yeah, I've seen dominant males chase away younger males that are their offspring. Excuse me, they are their offspring, but it's still potential competition, and male leopards don't like that, so they would still push them out. It does happen. Now we have seen interaction between different leopards a lot recently, a lot in the last 2 weeks, in fact. A number of times we've had 2 or 3 leopards in sightings. So it's interesting to see the interaction that they are having. But for the moment, he's still young, no threat, so he'll stick around this area. But as I said, at some point, he's most likely going to be pushed out by a dominant male leopard. So Rasta, generally speaking, even if it's family members, they will still be pushed out and they will still have to set up their own territory. Now, Stacey, you were asking how much do leopards weigh, and this young male leopard, how much would he weigh? Now, Stacey, sometimes there are various weights that are given in different books. Occasionally, I suppose a captive leopard would be a lot heavier than a wild leopard. Generally speaking, a female leopard, about 30 to 40 kilograms on average, and a male leopard, about 70 to 80 kilograms. Now, that is what I have read, and I have asked some researchers from Panthera. They are a research group that deal a lot with big cats, and they have told me that big male leopards will weigh 75 to 80 kilograms generally. So there's possibly an exception of maybe a larger male leopard, but again, as long as they don't weigh them when they obviously have full bellies, then they would weigh a lot more. This young male leopard, I don't know, is probably around 50, 60 kilograms, I would say, somewhere around there. As I said, the weights of certain animals, depending on what material you're using as a reference, weights can vary. So generally, just give I'd say a rough estimate of weights. That's why I say between 70 and 80 kilograms. I have read somewhere that male leopards can get up to 90 or 100 kilograms. Now, I chatted to researchers about that, and none of them, they say the biggest leopards that they've caught and weighed in Africa are about 80 kilograms, 82 kilograms. So I doubt they get up to that size. It sounds more like a jaguar to me. Tammy, you say you really like his pillow. Yeah, does look like he's found a nice little spot to rest his head on that little branch over there. But I see, look how he's put his paw on that branch, so he's resting his head on his paw. Such a nice start to the afternoon. I know Viam is very happy, firstly because he spotted the leopard, and secondly because it is a leopard, and Viam loves watching big cats. You happy, Viam? Mm-hmm. Yep.
Looking for him all day.
Viam says he's been looking for him all day. Okay, now from this rather powerful big cat that we have here, Brent has got a how shall we say, a slender big cat, a racing cat, the fastest cat in the world.
Welcome to the Mara, and we're with three of the most gorgeous creatures that roam these open plains. It is the famous Malika and her two sons, who we were with till about 12:30 today, and we were lucky enough to see them catch a poor, unfortunate little steenbok, but that wasn't enough food for all three of these cheetah, especially with two growing boys. Good afternoon, my name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Craig, aka Batman, on camera, and we're going to spend the whole afternoon with these cheetah. So it's a perfect opportunity. If you have any questions about cheetah, send them through to the hashtag Safari Live. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, this is 100% live, coming to you from one of the most iconic, or actually two of the most iconic wildernesses in Africa, the Greater Kruger and the Masai Mara. And at the moment, our little kitties are having a bit of a snooze, but if we look not far behind them, there are still herds and herds upon wildebeest in this area. We can only see a few of them at the moment, so there's lots of potential prey in amongst the wildebeest. There are Thompson's gazelles and baby topies at the moment, and the odd boha reedbuck as well. So lots of potential prey for these three cheetah. And as I said, they ate a very small antelope at around midday today, so I think they will definitely get up and move at some point this evening. Now, we got caught in an absolute torrential downpour a little bit earlier. We're still drying off a little bit, but fortunately it seems to have missed this whole area. It was further to the east. Now, Richie says, I love it how they lift their head up occasionally and then lie down. Well, Richie, it's a very specific reason they're able to do that, and because they are under such pressure from other predators such as lions and hyenas, cheetah have adapted this way of lying. It enables them to keep a lookout on and keep safe. Well, I think we got some wind coming in. Sorry about the flapping. And I'm hoping that rain stays away from us. I'm just checking behind us. There are massive storms absolutely everywhere at the moment. And of course, these massive storms are what make the Mara so lush and green throughout most of the year and creates this high density of prey and predator. Now, I couldn't really see this morning during our hunt where they managed to catch that little unfortunate Stenbok, and I thought it was Malika who led the hunt, and it was not. It was one of the young boys who actually led the hunt this morning. So they are definitely growing up very fast. I think only a few more months before they leave mom and become independent. And it's going to be interesting to watch how far they wander. You never know. They might even cross the river and end up in the Mara Triangle. Now, Richie's wondering, would the female ever mate with the cheetah boys? And when you refer to the cheetah boys, I assume you're talking about the 5 musketeers. Only once her cubs have become independent, she will come into estrus again, and she will hunt with she will mate with the boys. Now, I know Jamie is trying to find the boys this afternoon, probably about 5 or 6 kilometers to the northeast of us, and there's rumored to be 7 cheetah in that area. 2 different females, Amani, the mother of the 2 twins, and also Musiara, who lost her cubs last year. Musiara goes by a few names. So Musiara could also be known as Rani or as Naserian, but I know her as Musiara. That's the first name I learnt. And she should be about mating. She was seen mating with the 2 border boys in the triangle a couple of weeks ago. So she could definitely try and mate with the 5 musketeers, or at least one of them. And the fact that Amani is also there, her daughters are recently independent as well and are living around the Musiara Marsh down towards Paradise Plain. So there's a good chance that both those females are coming to estrus and will be trying to mate with the musketeers. Now, in this area, there are 2 males. I've forgotten their name now. I think they're called the TZ boys or the Tanzanian boys. That actually spend most of their time in the Serengeti, but they come across the Sand River. And this is sort of the boundary around here between them and the musketeers. Now, while Malika's still got these 2 boys, she's going to try avoid those musketeers at all costs, because they would try kill these 2 young boys because they are a potential threat in the future. And the boys are getting so big, it is sometimes quite difficult to discern between them and their mum. But when you have a look at their teeth specifically, you can see, bottom front right canine on Malika is very worn and broken, so almost a little stumpy canine, and she is quite old. She is 10 years old, which is incredible for a cheetah in this area. Now, they probably in captivity can live to 20, but out in the wild, and especially in a highly dense predator zone such as this, they seldom live beyond 11 or 12. I'm just going to move the cart quickly to have a look at this potential storm that's coming our way. Oh, looks like the cheetah's also deciding it's time to pop up. Now, that's one of the little boys closest to us there. Is it? Yes, it is a little boy. Mom, I'm still hungry. It was only a little Stenbok. Mom, time to go hunting, Mom. We are getting a few little spots of rain, but so far nothing too serious. Oh, there's a vulture flying through in the background. So I said, I'm planning, oh, there we go, that's well done, Craig. Lappet-faced vulture. Probably saw the cheetah and thought, oh, is there meal about? There isn't, unfortunately. Now, as I said, we're probably going to spend a lot of time with these 3 cheetah in the next 3 days, and they are so wonderful to watch. Now, there's one animal that they definitely wouldn't try a hunt, and that is looking at Tayla McCurdy.
Oh yes, it's staring straight at me, and not just one of them. There's actually quite a large herd down on the base of a valley just below the escarpment road. I wonder if they're going to go and head towards the hills and try and keep out of the nasty wind that's blowing around at the moment. But there are still magnificent creatures. The Cape buffalo, African buffalo, as they're also known as. But there they all are. Look at all of them. That's very cool. Now, there's actually quite a few that you can't even see. The herd extends far in front of the vehicle and as well as far behind the car. And they're just relaxing, not seeming to be doing anything too interesting, just keeping an eye out and chewing away. There's some oxpeckers who I don't think will be doing too much feeding in this weather. I think they're going to be using the buffalo for something else. I think they're going to be trying to keep warm by using the buffalo's body heat, which I think is quite clever. There's a couple of them. There's a yellow-billed oxpecker, stands out like a sore thumb on that buffalo. Oh no, that one has decided it's going to eat regardless. But what they normally do, and it's one of the nicest things to see first thing in the morning, is on rhinos, on buffaloes. You'll often see, even on kudu, see them all lined up on their mammals' backs, all flattened out, just trying to keep nice and warm. And then when they warm up, then they'll go around and munch on all the ticks and things. I'm just trying to see if I can hear the frogs, but and it's actually very difficult today because of all the wind that we've got. So hopefully what's going to happen, because I would like to try and do the frogging, they were all out on the road last night, is hopefully this wind does stop. Not only because we won't be able to hear the animals, because I feel as though I've underdressed again, for this weather. I'm wearing shorts, and I don't have a big warm jacket. I don't know what I was thinking leaving like this. It serves me right. What a lovely cow. Now, with breeding herds like this, they're pretty cool. You'll see they're all doing their own thing. But they do sort of have roles, but typically when they're on the move, when they're just standing around like this grazing, they're sort of left to their own. But lots of bulls in and amongst the females, and right up in front and right at the back of the herd, you'll find some stronger members, making sure everybody is okay and stays safe, and if anybody falls behind and hyenas hassle them, then they're there to help support, because we know what a great bond the buffalo have with one another, and I wouldn't want to mess with them. But in a herd like this, though, they'll be quite relaxed because there's so many eyes and ears, so they won't be as stressed. But there's definitely, of course, no, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, I'll tell you now. Megan says that we need to send some of the buffalo to Juma, and I got distracted. So, yes. Ooh, hello. Oh, my goodness. That's exciting. I didn't think that was going to happen this afternoon, so it looked like a bull. Was it a bull? A young bull, though. It didn't look like a particularly large one. Yes, it is a bull. I feel as though he's taking a chance, and he better be careful. Even though he's quite large in size, there'll be some big boys in there, in these breeding herds. I've seen the biggest buffalo I've ever seen in my life here in the Mara Triangle. You may have also heard some thunder in the distance. There's so many storms forming, I don't even know where to look anymore, but the wind is sort of helping too. It's keeping everything at bay and sort of blowing it off course, well, blowing it away from us at least, so that's good. That's quite nice. Going back over the escarpment and missing us. Woohoo! Lucky us. Luckily we're not up top there. Miserable. Imagine sitting on top of that hill. Oh, that would not be a good spot to build a house. Right, well, let's carry on though. I think let's move on a little bit further forward. Now, Linda, you're wondering, what is the strongest animal? We can do this one while we drive. Is it the buffalo, rhinoceros, or elephant? Right, so hopefully you're thinking elephant, because elephants are the largest out of those animals that you just gave me. So they weigh a lot more. They've got amazing strong trunks, and they can uproot trees, with a combination of by force and using their trunk as a lever, using their feet, to dig up roots. So they're pretty strong, and they'll move things away. Rhinos are also strong. I mean, they're all three of those species are very strong. But of course, the elephant being the largest will be. Though I've seen, was it It was a YouTube video, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a rhinoceros hitting a buffalo, like a while ago. It's not a recent video, and that was impressive. This rhino actually lifted, and I've seen the rhino doing that with a warthog, another video. Frightening. So I don't know if I'd want to anger a rhino either, and we know that buffalo, which make them one of the most unpredictable animals out there, and why they are so dangerous to you and I, is so I don't know. They're all scary in their own way, but they're beautiful animals, so you don't want to get on their bad side. But yes, elephants will be the strongest, of course. What else could beat? Now, I'm not sure who I'm sending you across to. I had my radio turned down a little bit. Well, I've got to turn it up while we're driving. We're going to keep heading in that direction and try and stay on the road and not slip around too much. But I think it's Jamie that we're going to is also probably going to be slipping around in the mud.
Slipping around in the mud is an understatement. A very good afternoon. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Jahawi is on camera with me. We're on the other side of the Mara River, close to Telek, at a place called Balloon Crossing. I found the cheetah, but I found the cheetah half an hour ago. I can't get to them. So in South Africa, we think we know mud. We don't know mud. That's the crossing I just came through, only to discover that the cheetah are in the middle. So there were two rivers, and two rivers converged, and where two rivers converged, the cheetah were. And now I've got to go back through that. And let me tell you, it was sort of touch and go the first time. I've got to go back through that and then across to behind me to where the rivers split and somehow find a way there. Also, by the way, migration, there's still a lot of wildebeest around. So I have to try again. But my biggest concern is that I'm going to try now, and I'm going to get to the other side, I'm going to get to the cheetah, and they're going to walk straight back across in this direction. At which point, all I'm going to do is place my head in my hands and weep. Because this is where the prey is. There's Topi, there's Tommies, there's wildebeest. So are they going to do that to me? Well, I suppose at least by that time it'll be my third time crossing Balloon Crossing in the state it's in. It's the worst that could happen. I know. I could get stuck. And then I'd be the double marshmallow queen, and that would just not be acceptable. Let me just show you what... As we sludge our way through, we've got mud up to everywhere. Jackie, no, apparently it's very usual. The cheetah, by the way, can you see that there, Jahawi, where the cars are? That's where the cheetah are. Where are they walking to? Jackie, though, this is perfectly normal for this time of year, apparently. This is good rain for the small rains in November. The bigger rains will come next year. You can see how pretty the sky is, by the way. We've missed the storm completely. Well, almost. We got a little drizzle. Okay, so over there, somewhere, there's a car. Where did we see the cheetah? The cheetah appear to be there, underneath that tree, lying down. That doesn't tell me anything, does it? I think that's the cheetah in front of that car's wheels. I think that's them. So that doesn't help me, does it? No, there's nothing for it. We're just going to have to go for it. Oh, you got him. Yeah, that's them. In front of the car. Okay. We're just going to have to do it, I guess. I won't have signal, by the way, as I go down through this crossing and back. I don't even know how to get there. I'll figure it out. Once I'm there, the vehicle is there.
Alright, well, it seems like we've just lost signal there with Jamie. I think he was driving through the mud in the Mara at the moment. But we're still sitting with a very relaxed young male leopard. Now, Hosana hasn't moved. He's changed positions a few times. But I think you can see he's curled up there. As I said earlier, it is quite cool. So that's possibly why he's decided to lie just down in the open near this little water hole or this little dam. But very, very relaxed. Such a beautiful view of him. Such a beautiful view. Branch that is there. He's not doing too much at the moment, so we'll probably drive around and see what else we can find, and we'll give it another few minutes. I mean, it's always wonderful to see a leopard like this. Now, Riti, you were wondering, with it getting colder and raining, will less animals come to the water? Well, Riti, I wouldn't say with it getting colder. Remember in winter when the temperature is cold, it's now we're moving into summer, so it is it's going to get a lot warmer. But in winter when it's colder, we still get the animals going down to drink. They have to go and drink, and yes, when it is warmer, they will go to the water and drink a lot more. But also what you need to remember is with the rain, what happens is you get a lot of little mud pools and little wallows that fill up with water. So there's a lot more water spread out throughout the bush. They won't necessarily have to go to the dams or the big rivers, because there are little pools of water around that the animals will drink from. And we saw it the other day. I think one of the leopards went and drank from a little pool or little wallow. So they will do that, especially with more rain coming. So they won't have to go to the big dams anymore. But they still pass them. They will still have a drink. But I suppose the cool weather, maybe the animals don't move down as often. However, they still need to go and drink. So they will still go down to the waterhole to drink. No, he doesn't look like he is interested in moving at all. Tristan said it looked like the tracks of this young male leopard of Hosana were all the way around camp early this morning. So I wonder if he's moved during the day. With this cool weather, you will get a lot more movement from predators, leopards, lions too, for that matter. And when it is a bit cooler, they may look to hunt or move around a lot more than they would when it's really warm conditions. But in saying that, it's interesting to see this leopard's not interested in moving around, although maybe he's been moving around during the course of the day, and that's why he's now decided to rest for a few hours. These animals are very clever. They do conserve their energy, so it is important for them to rest. Look at that. Beautiful. You can see he's got fairly large paws already. Now, got a question from another guide, and he's also a private guide, Warren Pearson. And Warren wants to know, why do leopards sleep so much? So Warren, obviously watching the show and learning a lot from Safari Live. Warren, leopards sleep a lot because they conserve their energy like lions. They don't sleep as much as lions do, but they do rest and save their energy and generally move around a lot more at night. However, we've seen leopards moving during the day too, and especially in cooler conditions like this, cooler days rather, like this, then leopards will move around a lot more. But they do rest. They do conserve their energy and then move around a lot at night. It's easier for them to hunt under the cover of darkness. So that's generally why most of these predators, well, lions and leopards especially, rest and they move around far more at night. Okay, so I think we're going to move on from this leopard. Let's go see what else we can find. I'd love to find some elephant this afternoon, but let's go across now to Brent in the Mara, who's got some cheetah to show you.
Now, there's a little family of warthogs inadvertently wandering towards the cheetahs, and the little ones are playing and running around and getting a little bit far from mom. Now, an adult warthog would be out of the question for these cheetah. But a little piglet would be a delicious little snack. And so far, only one of the boys has noticed it. Malika and the other boy have not. There he is, center frame. So he's staring at the little pigs. They've been moving closer and closer. Now, it might be very interesting. Is he going to try attempt a hunt all by himself of these little piglets? Now, a female warthog will defend her young quite ferociously, even against something as big as lions. So this could be a very important learning curve for this little cheetah, young cheetah. He's not so little anymore. And he is locked on those little piglets. And they are completely unaware. Mom and the other brother are still snoozing where we initially were. So I've moved away from them and to create a bit of distance, to disturb what happens, and to not give away either the cheetah's position or to scare the warthogs off. So I'm just sitting very patiently here in between the two. Piglets are jogging behind Mom. What they might try to do is use a bit of confusion. Cheetah, or if she sees it coming. But if the piglets panic and run in all sorts of different directions, that's where the opportunity for the cat will come. See, there we go. They're the little ones. They're playing and running around, having a grand old time, unaware that there is a spotted stalker not too far off. Now, Glenda is wondering, do the cheetah use the grass to hide from the prey? Where there's grass available, Glenda, as you can see, this is really short grass here at the moment, so it's quite difficult for them to use grass to hide. Sorry, I'm just watching pigs, watching cheetah. So they will try use all available cover that is around, but there isn't much grass here. I think here the cheetah is going to rely on its incredible speed and a bit of confusion to possibly outwit the mommy warthog. I definitely think she needs some backup. 3 cheetahs would create 3 times the amount of confusion, so probably 3 times the chance of success. Of all the big cats, they do have a higher success rate than lion and leopard in making the kill, but unfortunately for them, they lose it quite often to the other predators. So a little warthog snack is something they could definitely eat without losing. Well, we got a no more movement. Oh, yeah, I thought one of them was going to get up, but they are going through the precursors of movement, rolling around, doing a little bit of grooming. Brenda is wondering, do these cheetah work together when they hunt? Indeed they do. Now, the boys are still learning from Mom, but we saw this morning that it was actually one of the little boys that led the charge. And I didn't actually see who took down, but I think it might have even been the other little boy. And then Mom let them kill the Steenbok. It was quite distressing because it took them a long time to actually eventually kill the Steenbok. But it is a learning curve for these young males. Oh, Mom Warthog spotted the cheetah from that distance. She's leading her little children off. So, no little pork roast for the cheetah this evening. Good eyes on that mother warthog. So she actually didn't even spot the one that was closest, standing stock still and watching them. She spotted one of the others rolling around in the distance. But as you can see, there's lots of wildebeest and other things around, so there's still plenty of opportunities for these cheetah once they do decide to get moving. You can see all the big storms around us in the distance. So we've been hit by one, but fortunately it looks like that one is moving down into Tanzania. And it looks like Jamie also is going to get lucky this afternoon, and that storm's past where she is. So I think I'll show you quickly. And since the pigs have spotted them and dashed off, we'll go a little closer.
Life in this business. You're going no.
Sorry about that. It seems like there's a few gremlins about. It could be these big storms. I'm not sure why we disappeared there, but we're back with Malika and the lazier of the two brothers. Now, I've got a question for you. Just looking like that, who's who? Which is the young male, which is Malika? There's a very easy way to tell. Hashtag Safari Live. If you can tell who's mom and who is the little one out of those two right in screen at the moment. As I said, they're similar sized at the moment, and as those boys grow up very quickly. It looks like we're going to be lucky with the weather, and the rain is going to skip past us. As that female warthog skipped off into the distance with her little babies. And you can just make her out. She's all the way where the wildebeest are now, which is actually quite far away from us. I saw her walking past the wildebeest. Probably almost definitely heading towards a burrow now that she knows there's potential danger for her three little ones close by. Oh, well, now they've made it easy to tell who's who. Always Coca-Cola would like to know, do female cubs stay together after leaving mum? Generally they do, but not for very long, till they sort of come into their first estrus cycle. So at the moment we're seeing Amani's two daughters together, and they became independent from mom in around June, July. So they haven't been away from mom for too long. So they are still sticking together, but I would say probably in the next 2 to 3 months they are going to split and go their separate ways. And there's the other lazy boy, or not so lazy boy. He at least looked like he had intent towards those baby warthog. And as I said, a warthog can be a very scary thing, even for something as big as a lion. Oh, there's a big herd of wildebeest just arrived on the hill in the distance in front of us. All of a sudden, the bushes started moving. You see them over there underneath that shepherd's tree. Over there! There we go. Out of nowhere, in came the gnu's. So, we are going to... Oh, we're having a little... Oh, we've got someone up. Are you going to go join your brother? So and so as soon as they stood up and showed his back end, it was quite easy to tell who's who. But if you look at the back of their neck, you can still see there's some... Oh, he's going to stalk brother. You can see that blonde fluffiness there, and That is a remnant from when there were cubs being left behind by mom. Or we could get some really nice playing behavior here. Brother hasn't seen him. And attack! Oh, wonderful. There we go. Practicing. Going for the jugular, so to speak. Or actually going for this esophagus. Really, really lovely to spend time with Cheetah. It is definitely, for me, been one of the major highlights of being in Kenya and in the Mara is the sheer amount of Cheetah and the amount of time we get to spend with them. So we're going to stick with our gorgeous cheetahs to see what they get up to next. But while we do that, let's go see how Byron's adventures at Juma are faring.
Oh, they're going well, thank you, Brent. We're driving around. I'm trying to find some elephant this afternoon. We haven't seen elephant for quite some time. The odd track here and there, but there hasn't been a lot of elephant activity around. And I think, we explained it the other day. I think the vegetation being so dry and sparse at the moment, a lot of the elephant are moving down further, closer to the rivers. There's a lot more water and green vegetation for them to feed on. So we haven't seen too many elephant, but you never know. Maybe we get lucky this afternoon. That young male leopard, Hosana, is still lying close to the dam. There's some other people that have gone to see him, so they'll keep us in the loop in case he does decide to move. But I may try and go and see him a little bit later. Maybe he gets up and starts moving around. So we'll probably do that later, but we'll see what else we can find. And we're a little spoilt to have started with a leopard. Now we can continue and see what else there is out there. Lloyd, you asked how big is Juma. So Lloyd, Juma itself is not that big, but remember it's part of a huge system. The greater Kruger National Park is about 3.2 million hectares, so that's around 7 million acres of land, whereas Juma, just the area of Juma that we are on, it's actually very small. It's only about 900 hectares. So that's not big at all. It's about 1,000 or 2,000 acres, roughly, somewhere around there. So it's not a very big area. That's why often the animals, if they do walk through the area, they cross out fairly quickly. However, we do traverse onto Chitwa, and the other vehicles or lodges in the area, they traverse over a much larger area. So it is completely open. The animals can move around, but just Juma itself is quite a small area. Okay, well, let's see what else we can find. Now, Tayla is driving around in the Mara. Now, I'm not sure what her plan is at the moment, but it sounds like she has found one of the animals that I'm looking for.
Found my favorite animal. There have been quite a few of them out and about today. They don't seem to mind the miserable weather at all, and they've all had a good clean. Ones were covered in mud. Well, that one's still got a bit of mud on it, but depending on how hard the rain is, sometimes it just washes them completely clean. No debris whatsoever. But not today. It obviously wasn't hard enough. I'm using that trunk, just having a little smell around. We're looking for the nicest, tastiest green leaves on that little shrub that they're feeding on at the moment. Those shrubs are everywhere. I actually need to pluck one of those leaves so that we can figure out what exactly it is. Does it have a trifoliate leaf? I'm just looking. No, it doesn't. Interesting. But yes, we need to try and work on identifying some of these plants. But it's actually quite difficult to find books and things, and then also getting out the car to take a specimen home. and, to try and ID it. It's not always the easiest when you are bound to the cars. There's another elephant. There's huge herds of them around at the moment. It's quite nice. Them and the buffalo seem to be the most predominant grazers up here in the Northern Triangle. Everywhere else, or further south, and I believe the wildebeest have gone home. Scott told me, he said that there were none when he went down to Puringat Bridge. Can you believe it, Sebastian? They just stayed for our 3 days and then they went home again. Well, lucky us. Very lucky. It's amazing how quickly it happens. Now, Pond, you've said that you absolutely love the elephants, and you said that the youngsters are so gentle. They are. That's why they're my favorite animal. You can just relate to them, and I just also find them so interesting. The way they look, the way they feed, the fact that they have to eat so much, they can travel far distances. We barely understand anything about the way that they communicate, all these different things. I do love them. But I miss the Sabi sand elephants. I really do. And that's the thing that I'm looking forward to most about going back to South Africa when I eventually get home, is spending good quality Sabi sand time with these characters. They are something else down there. Like I keep saying it, it's almost as if the elephants are completely oblivious towards us. They don't pay us any attention whatsoever. But the elephants in the Sabi sand are so curious, and they just have a completely different relationship with the cars. It feels as though they're communicating. Definitely feel a lot more connected to him. Now, I'm sorry, some of that question broke up, but I think Alara Mo, you're wondering if elephants ever get cold. I'm sure they do, and that's why they've got hair on them. Obviously, when little elephants are born, they're quite hairy in comparison to the adults. You might be able to see a few bristles, but you need to be quite close. They're very fine on an adult, but they do have them covering their bodies. And then, like I said, the youngsters are normally much hairier, and I'm pretty certain the only reason for that is because they tend to lose it as they get older, is because they're a lot more susceptible to the weather. But the animals will acclimatize to the conditions that they're living in. So I'm pretty sure they're used to this. It might be a little bit chilly, but I don't think it's not going to kill them. It's not going to send them into hypothermia. Oh, it's miserable out here. I really hope the wind drops. I'm holding thumbs that it does, because then it's going to be the most magnificent evening. I think we're going to see lots of insects. Maybe we're going to see some alates being released because the ground's completely saturated. And I have seen lots of them being released out of the ground, so that could be quite cool to see. Nothing. Like all the little drainage lines all filling up with water now, but no frogs there, sadly. No alates on top of the water surface. Nothing. Now LKJ, you've actually agreed with me. You said that you also feel as though the elephants in Juma are more like family. And I suppose these are just friendly, just waving at them as you go past in the shopping centre. Being polite. Oh, hello. But nothing more. That's true. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Are you having a scratch? Hang on, this is quite funny. Oh no, he's just stopped. Ellie perfectly poised beneath the Bateleur. Balanites tree, and he's a lovely fellow. He was having a little bottom scratch a moment ago, and the reason why I mentioned Bateleur is because that's what bird Byron has managed to find.
we have got Bateleur though, Tayla, and two beautiful Bateleur. Now I think this is a pair that we've seen around in this area for quite a while now. I think it's the same pair. It must be, and I think they're nesting somewhere around here. Not sure where that nest is exactly. I think it's in some other trees, but they're out in the open at the moment. And that is the male on the right. We can see over there. Beautiful male. And I can tell because the feathers, the lower part of the feathers are black. And now with the female, and I'll try to show you from the other angle, we can't really see it from here, but the lower part of the primary feathers, you'll see some white on them. And you can just see it, I suppose, the left-hand side there, but this is a beautiful male. Oh, look at those feathers on the head. I really do enjoy viewing Bateleur like this when there's a bit of a breeze and they blow those feathers on the back of the head up. It always looks like they've got a really big, round head. Oh, beautiful with that red face. Probably also just enjoying this cooler weather. Oh, look at that. That one almost looked as if it was yawning a little bit. Not sure why it was opening its mouth like that. Karen, you say what gorgeous birds. They are very beautiful birds of prey. Oh, Laura Moore, you say you would love to see the nest if they have one. Oh, Laura Moore, I'm just having a look. I don't know. I think it's one of the trees behind us. We can't see it at the moment. Actually, you know what? Let me just have a look here quickly. I think that's it. I think I found it. Oh, Laura Moore, let me show you quickly. Let me just reverse for you, VM. Through the back over there, VM, can you see? There we go. Through the back, that's the nest, and it looks like there is actually a juvenile sitting on the right-hand side of the screen. There we go. Just sorry, there's some branches in the way. That appears to be a young Bateleur. We can just see a bit of brown over there, but I think it is. Let me just try reverse a little bit more. Will the car move for us? No, it won't. Obviously not. Hold on. Let me just do this. Let's try and look through there. A bit difficult to see. I can't make it out. But I just see a brown bird. Let me try and use my binoculars. It does look like a Bateleur. So I think that is the nest. And I think that is their nest. As I said, we've seen them here many, many times before. I think that's their nest, and I think that's one of their offspring, and that's why that eagle is still hanging around, the young Bateleur. And we've seen them around a lot. We've seen all three of them together, and we saw that younger one when it was still in that juvenile form, that brown coloration. And I think it's just I think it's starting to get some of that adult plumage at the moment. But these two are definitely the adults, what I can see, the male and female. Now, Ponder, you say you love how the red beaks in the face stick out so much. It's beautiful contrasting colours, the black and white, and then these bright red faces and red legs. Very nice view of them. I always enjoy seeing any type of bird of prey, any eagle, especially the eagles. My favourite bird of prey is the martial eagle, but I haven't seen them for quite some time. Take care. You asked if there's a strong breeze or slight breeze, do the birds rely on their balance or a strong grip to stay on the branches like that? It's a bit of both, actually. Now, with most birds, and we'll see if we can see it from at some point, but a lot of birds rely on their tail to help balance and counterbalance the body, to stabilize themselves on branches. Now, the Bateleur doesn't have a very long tail, so it wouldn't necessarily help it. So, in a Bateleur's case, I suppose it's more the grip that they rely on to keep themselves sturdy and stable on a branch like that. But also notice how they perched on slightly thicker branches. So those branches won't move and sway as much in the wind. A little bit more sturdy. So the bird just has to hold on tight and it should be fine up there. So with these bigger birds of prey, it's predominantly the grip that keeps them sturdy. With some of the smaller birds and hornbills, we've seen they do use their tails to balance themselves in windy conditions. Well, this is a nice little surprise to see the 2 or 3 Bateleur. Like I said, I'm sure that is one back there, but it's difficult to see from this distance. Alright, shall we move on, Viam? Let's see what else we can find. Let's just try have a look and see quickly if I can see this one on the left hand side and just make sure that is the female. I think it is. We'll get a better view from this side. Let's see. Generally speaking, in these eagles, the females are a bit larger than the males, and the one on the left does look a bit larger. I'm just trying to have a look now, and I can see those white feathers. There goes the male. Yeah, definitely that male you can see underneath, and then there you can see the white feathers on the ends of the wings there for the female. You can see it clearly now. So that is definitely the female. Now that male took off and flew back to that other tree where the nest is. So that's guaranteed that is the nest. It looks like it. They choose to go back to that tree. Wonderful. Oh, watch, there she goes. Oh, and there you can see the, well done, Viam, the beautiful, you just caught a glimpse of the wings underneath of that female, and then there she goes. Is she going to fly to that other tree? She's circling in. Yep, there she goes. Straight back to that tree where we saw the nest and that other Bateleur. So that is the tree that they have used as a nest, and that is why I'm assuming they're sticking around in this area, and they have been for so long. As I said, you caught a glimpse of the wings underneath, the beautiful white coloration underneath of the female, a lot more white, thin black stripe underneath, and the males, they've got basically half and half, so half black, half white underneath the wing. But easy when they are sitting and perched like that, you could see the white markings on the edge of the wing for that female, and the male, it's black right down the bottom. So I think let's head down to Chitwa Dam. We'll head down there and see if there are any animals potentially moving down for a drink. While we do that, Tayla's still driving around the Mara. She's already seen an elephant, but now she's found another large animal we haven't seen very often on Juma for quite some time. Let's go have a look.
Across another herd of buffalo out in the Mara Triangle, and I was going to tell you how nervous the Mara buffalo seem to be compared to Juma. I just thought maybe we haven't got too much out and about today in weather like this, so I thought we'd talk about maybe some of the differences of behavioural differences between the animals. That's so stunning. And when you sit with a big herd of buffalo in the Sabi sand, I'm talking, how big is this herd? This herd's maybe 200 buffalo, and we typically get massive herds. Anywhere between 400 and 800 is fairly common. A normal size herd in the winter months in the southern sands about 200 buffalo, and that's why I always talk about them, because they'll come and completely surround your car with complete ease, completely relaxed, not bothered at all. And it's the most amazing experience, and I always used to try and do it if there were big herds around. You could just park in the distance and they'd walk towards you. They'd just move around you like domesticated cars are. You know how annoying they are sometimes to move off of the farm roads. And the buffalo and the Sabi sand were pretty much the same. Here, you can see, look at them. They're all staring at us, watching our every move, making sure we don't try and sneak up on them. And I have most certainly never been surrounded by a herd of buffalo like this. They all walk as far away from the car as possible. So I find that quite interesting. They are all doing their thing though. Some grooming, some eating, some regurgitating. Oh, there we go. You found yourself a great scratching post. A small tree of sorts with a sturdy branch. Now, Talis from Canada, I think you've asked me what is the most surprising thing I've experienced in the Mara. Did I get that correctly? Sorry, Megan. did break up just as you were saying that. I'm not sure, my comms are not being behaved today. Oh, what's the most surprising thing to me? Probably the animal behavior, exactly what we're talking about at the moment. And obviously we talk about what we've read in books and what we've seen, and we often say how you must never say that an animal can't do something or won't do something because a book said so. And I just find that so in the different areas that are being, sort of privileged in working in. And that's so nice. I mean, you hear people saying that, but until you really experience it for yourself, it's hard to really understand. But that's what I'm so excited about now, is now going to visit all sorts of places, whether it be on holiday or working in different locations, whatever it may be, and hopefully having similar animals or the same species of animals that I have experience with, and learning more and more and more about them. Very cool. It almost looks like they're about to unhinge their jaw when they chew like that, don't you think? I mean, at that angle, it just does look, it looks exactly like a cow. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But I don't think we could call you Daisy or try and put a bell around your neck. You wouldn't stand for that. Emery, you've said that you love the way the buffalo chew with their mouths meandering around like that. Yes, I do too. It is quite funny. My favorite thing, though, is I love buffalo teeth, but I love it on the youngsters when they're just sort of dropping their jaw just slightly, or a bit of their lip or something has got stuck and it's just showing their teeth, and they look really sort of like a high school nerdy 8th grade picture, like awkward, still haven't quite grown into your body. We all have those photos. We all went through that phase, and that's what the young buffalo remind me of. And then especially with their sort of two-toned coat, when they're born, it's obviously much lighter. We know most of the animals actually are born a lot lighter in color than the adults, and it's important for camouflage, but it does make them look quite humorous too. They're sort of orangey brown with splashes of dark patches too. Not you though, you've got a beautiful even coat. Very nice though. Actually, this is the most relaxed herd of buffalo I think I've sat around. Every other herd I've had always staring at me, and then one would get a fright and run away, and then they'd stampede a little bit. Not quite as much of that sheep mentality as we see with the wildebeest, where one gets a fright because a frog splashed into the water, and then they all, stampede in the opposite direction. They don't quite do that. A little bit more relaxed than the wildebeest at the moment. But you'd think with the wind that's blowing that they'd be slightly on edge. But then again, I suppose you're a Mara buffalo, and who is going to mess with you besides the odd lion? I'm so sorry, Megan, I could not hear you. I heard it was a question from Tammy, but I don't know what Tammy wants to ask about the buffalo. Now, Tammy, you're wondering if they also have 4 bellies. Well, they have 4 stomachs, yes. There are ruminants, so giraffe have it as well, and impala, and a topi, and most of the antelope and gazelle species out here will be ruminants and have that 4-chambered stomach. It's the most efficient way to digest food. Well, in terms of getting as many nutrients as you can out of what you've been eating. It's not the quickest, however. It does take quite some time. You see that though? Every sound, they, turn their heads so quickly, they snap it right back and stare at you. But also we're looking in different directions. And I suppose that's what's important, and that's why it's great to live in a herd with so many pairs of eyes and ears, is that you're not all going to be drawn to the same thing like we as humans. I might stare out in an open area, and Sebastian could do exactly the same thing. And if we had to say, yell out the first thing that you spot, probably going to be 2 different things that would have caught our eyes. And by having that happen in a big herd like this, and you're checking a lot more areas, checking for lions, checking for leopards, checking for, a very brave group of hyena, or whatever it may be. Oh, there they are. Okay, well, shall we move through the herd? I think we shall move through the herd. I don't know what else we're going to find this afternoon. But the wind is slowly stopping. Or maybe it's just because I've been sitting still for so long. Oh, there's a car behind us. we're going to drive through the herd of buffalo and hopefully they don't panic too much. Byron has arrived at a rather large area of water.
A large area of water indeed, or the biggest we have in fact. The Chitwa Dam, and a beautiful fish eagle is up in the tree to greet us. And then of course we have the wonderful hippo behind us. You can see just a few heads every now and then sticking out of the water, still in that shallow area around the tree. A bit of splashing around. They seem to be more spread out this afternoon. In different parts of the dam, not just here where the tree is, but in all the corners by the looks of things. Some red-billed buffalo weavers in their nest right here in front of us. There we go. Not sitting very still for us. There we go. You can see that bright red beak. Eric the Poet, you asked how many species of birds have I seen in one day? Now Eric, I'm trying to think. I think it depends on the time of year, Eric, but we did it when I was still training. Were we training? No, we weren't training. It was just a fun exercise that a few of us did when I was still working at Londolozi, and we went out and we had to identify birds, but we had to get pictures of the birds. It was a competition between two teams, so you had to get a picture of the bird to confirm that is what you saw. There's a bit of a yawn from that hippo. Now, Eric, we got about I think it was around 86 or 88 birds in 2 hours. Now that was very impressive. That was a lot of fun. But we shot through different areas trying to get as many birds as we possibly could. But about 80, I think it was around 88 or so in 2 hours of birding. Photographs of every single one of them, which was amazing. But that's probably the highest I think I've seen in one day. It was just that little birding excursion. No, that was quite interesting. Between the two teams, we counted the birds that both teams had and added them all up, obviously each species. And between the two teams, we got over 100 birds just in 2 hours of birding. But the one team saw 80 odd, and I think both teams saw in the 80s. But when we combined them and checked the lists together, combined, it was just over 100, I think 110 or 11 birds that we saw. I'm just looking around, I can hear some swallows flying around. Beautiful, beautiful view there. Now, Stacy, you asked what type of foot structure do the birds of prey have, or the eagles have? Well, generally, if I'm not mistaken, the talons of these eagles, it's three 3 toes facing forward and 1 toe facing back. So that would make them passerines. Oh, now you're asking me a question about stuff I learned many years ago, so I hope I'm right and not making a mistake. Maybe some of you can just double check and make sure I am correct, but I think the eagles are passerines. 3 toes forward, 1 toe back. Generally, most birds fall under this category of birds. And then you have non-passerines, generally ducks and geese and webbed-foot birds, as well as other water birds. And then near passerines, I think, which have got a zygodactyl foot, with 2 toes forward, 2 toes back. Woodpeckers, and that obviously the woodpeckers are known for climbing up and down trees and jumping around, so they've got 2 toes forward and 2 toes back. That's called zygodactyl feet. I hope I'm right. I get confused. And some of this stuff is stuff I haven't done for quite a while. That's what I really enjoy about this, doing Safari Live, is we get asked wonderful questions and we have to rack our brain a little bit. And so if I am making a mistake, please correct me. But I think I'm right. Still all these hippo around. I haven't seen the crocodiles. I almost said our crocodiles. The crocodiles. We haven't seen the crocodiles. Just hold on a second. I can hear guinea fowl alarm calling. Alright, let's just go and investigate there quickly, because as I said before, guinea fowl are often good indicators that there may be a predator around. And I can hear the guinea fowl alarm calling in that direction. Let's go and have a look there and see. Maybe we find something. As I was saying, we haven't seen the crocodiles around the dam or out of the water for a while, but it has been fairly warm, so the crocodiles don't come out as much. Now, these guinea fowl could be alarm calling at anything. It could be a bird of prey, potentially. So I'm just going to try have a good look around here. Let's just see and scan this area. VM will obviously give me a hand. But let's just see. I think those guinea fowl were actually a bit further away. I'll probably stop and listen again when we get closer and just hear exactly where that alarm call is coming from. Wouldn't it be great if we found another predator this afternoon? Hold on, let's just listen here for a second. Now the guinea fowl have stopped, obviously. Murphy's Law. I can't see anything, and I can't hear anything now. See, that could also mean that it wasn't a serious alarm call. If they alarm call and that alarm call is prolonged, chances are there's definitely a predator around there. But it seems quiet now. We'll have a look around here just in case. You never know. I'm just going to do a loop around and maybe towards those clearings on Chitwa. Let's have a look what's up there. Some grey go-away birds that I can see sitting up there. But no, the guinea fowl have quietened down. They've just stopped calling. So maybe it wasn't anything. Okay, we're just going to go through a little dip here quickly. Might lose picture for a second. Okay. Now, apparently you had picture with us that whole time, even through that little dip. Now that is thanks to Jared, the new tech guy at Juma. Jared, it's always nice having a technician on site, and he's done wonders with some of the technical stuff already. And we miss Connor dearly, but he's in Johannesburg and moved on to a new venture. But somebody had to replace Connor, so Jared's here, and Jared's also doing a great job, which is awesome. Making life a lot easier for us. Viam and I don't return back to camp and tear our hair out because of the technical issues. It's become or carry batteries everywhere for the various masts. Things seem to have settled down.